BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens, and copy the trades of top traders. If you sign up with the link in the description, you get a free $100 when you deposit $100. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at all these markets. So yesterday the ECB decided to raise their rates by a measly 0.25. Now I took the piss out of the ECB back, well, it feels like ages ago now, because they said to everybody that we're going to raise rates by 50 basis points every single time until inflation is fixed. And I thought at the time, I was like, you can't say something like that. That's kind of stupid. You can't say that. You're supposed to be reactive. You're not supposed to prescribe exactly what it is you're going to do leading forward. And that is like a massive, that's what they would call extreme hawkish behaviour. You can't just do that. Well, anyway, they said they were going to do that. I didn't believe them at the time. And obviously now they're doing 0.25. Yet inflation is still pretty high. So what are they talking about? You just can't believe a word they say. So anyway, with that came a nice reaction, a big pullback from this box, this resistance box, and now we're down below all moving averages on the 4 hourly. So obviously we're talking euro dollar. Now the reason why we always talk about euro dollar, as you all know, is that the impact with euro dollar is pretty dramatic when it comes to all other markets. If we consolidate on this, there's a good chance we'll consolidate on all other markets. If we're running up on this one, there's a good chance that we'll run up on all other markets because the inverse effect on the Dixie and the Dixie, blah blah blah. You know the drill. So we can see that, but I actually think that we're going to have a little bounce around here, to be honest with you, and I think there's a good chance we bounce back up towards the area that was lost, or at least. Yeah, probably towards the area that was lost, in all fairness. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that. And we'll wait for it to have a bit of legs, because at the moment it doesn't. So look, you can see the effect that it took on the S&P, big pullback. Did the same for gold, in fact. Gold had a big pullback as a result of that. The only thing that's unaffected is oil, which is going from strength to strength, now just crossing over the $80 zone. And this, to me, is what I was talking about when I was saying, there's a few reasons to take chips off the table at the moment. One of them being this. So markets, I believe markets will look at oil and try to respond accordingly. I've been talking now for about a month about the move from stocks into commodities and cash, but into commodities, and now we're really seeing oil sort of rallying now at this point now. So this is only a 4 hourly chart, but since the bottom of the 4 hourly chart all the way to the top, we've had a 20% rise, which is pretty sweet in about a month. And if we look at all our other favourites, well, I say favourites, but let's just have a look at Bitcoin in the last 30 days or so. Really not quite the same at all, is it? So over the last 30 days, we more or less peaked and we're down. So look, I'm not saying this is the way it's going to be, but it's actually as expected, and we've started to see the move from into commodities, especially oil. And oil can be a problem because oil equals food and fuel, which equals inflation, which equals core CPI and CPI coming through hotter, which means that the Fed and the ECB might want to adjust their rates again, maybe even a little higher. Which means no pause for the moment, which means higher inflation, which means higher rate hikes, which means less liquidity in the system, and all of that. So it's going to come back into fashion again, mostly, like I say, derived from the high oil prices, which seem to be running higher. And yeah, I think the next move for oil is probably going to reach around 83, and if we break from there, then it goes up another $10 to about 93 and into the 90s. So let's just admire that for the moment, and for those of us who took positions in commodities, well played. Anyway, it's not the end of the world. We have been running for stocks and Bitcoin for quite a while now, so it's only fair that we do consolidate. And better than a consolidation, a rotation is always good. It's always good. And then what we might end up seeing will be a rotation back out of commodities into stocks and other stuff. And look. Gold isn't really having a good time because, well, I mean, I suppose it is having a good time. It's only like $100 off its previous local high. So let's face it, gold is still pretty sweet. But oil has been the place to be, hasn't it? And oil is going to, like I say, determine higher CPI reads, higher inflation, which is unfortunate. If you're looking forward a few months from now, you know, throughout the rest of the year, then yeah, we're probably going to see some higher inflation reads. Okay, and we just got to think about how we're going to deal with that. Anyway, let's get back to our own chart here, back into our comfort zone or the discomfort zone of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin trending down here on the daily, below most moving averages, with only the 200 exponential and simple below it, sitting down here at 27,000 and 26,500. We're still yet to revisit the 28,500, which is all still very much on the cards. Volume is pretty low. It's been low since forever. And so consolidation is still required. All of this, even down to these levels, is still going to form a higher low. So it's not the worst thing you've ever seen. It's only a buying opportunity. That's all it is, really. The 4 hourly's got a double death cross. We recognise this over here. This is where we start to think, all right, we're probably going to lose this area now, aren't we? Death cross, retest, simple moving average. Death cross, retest, exponential moving average. So you'd be looking for further downside just based on what we see here. There's no reason to assume anything other than just a little bit further to go in the form of this current direction. This, in my opinion, is a downtrend. The only way we'll break above it would really be to push and hold above these exponential moving averages, and preferably even the simple moving averages. We'll be clearly bullish above 30,300. We could even break bullish above 29,700. But at the moment we're below all of that and getting rejections on moving averages on the lower term time frames here. So not really seeing any reason to be particularly bullish on this, which makes me more comfortable with the fact that I took chips off the table last week. So fair play to it. Let's have a look on the higher time frame. With the 3-day. 3 days curling over with the money flow index being quite high. Yeah, I'm not really seeing any real reason to be particularly concerned over much deeper drops than 26,500. What we do see is an incoming golden cross taking place on a 3-day, which will be pretty exciting, around 27,600. So the 3-day is saying we got strength of trend, baby. We got strength of trend. Building, not confirmed. Building. So I reckon the next dip, however big it might be, if we were to measure this down, we're in a 21 exponential at the moment. If we pull back into the simple moving average, which will be about 3%, exponentials around 6%, bottom of the Bollinger Band and the range, possibly 14%. I reckon the next big drop, or the next significant drop that we get, would be a real buying opportunity. And it's not for me to tell people what and when to buy. I'm not a financial advisor, but I've got a lot of parents in the school queue that are always asking me, when should I buy this? When should I buy this? And they always want to buy it when it's high. They never want to buy it when it's low. And look, I said to them, I always say, look, listen, guys, yes, this is how I make my money. But if you're new to all of this, you got to be prepared for the volatility. This isn't just, this isn't like your stocks and shares ISA at Halifax Bank. This is crypto, mate, and it's a volatile beast. You got to ride out the volatility. You got to be prepared for it. So if you're going to buy on the next big dump, be prepared for it to absolutely not be the bottom. So we can only assume that the next low is going to be roughly between 5 to 14% down, and then from there you hold and you wait for brighter days. A little bit, say, further down the line, being a couple of years. Seems to me like an okay thing to do. And look, we mostly derive our bottoms in altcoin markets through Bitcoin, and so we can only really assume. And again, assumption makes assume makes an ass out of you and me. You can only assume that altcoins will be scraping out their lows roughly around the same time, not absolute lows, but reasonable. Reasonable guesstimations of where to buy altcoins from, based on potentially Bitcoin finding its bottom. I mean, it works at the very beginning of this bull market. I mean, most altcoins have outperformed Bitcoin from here. It doesn't really feel like it, but they have, but some haven't. So it's, no altcoin is created equal. So long story short, like the highest term time frame being the 3-day and even the weekly show that, to be fair, there is still a fair bit of support and opportunity below us before we can write this entire thing off and hibernate while we wait for our losses to recover. But for the moment, I don't know about you, but the Bitcoin that I bought, 21,500, still significantly in profit. We're not really interested in selling any of that, that's definitely my Bitcoin for the cycle. But buying any more, I think we should all be focused on the mid 20,000 ish area, 26,000 ish area. Anything lower than that seems pretty awesome to me. And we'll wait for brighter days after that. But given what we saw with the Dixie, the Euro, the S&P, gold, and especially oil, I would not be looking for huge bullish moves, probably for a little while, to be honest with you. And so if you are the type of person that likes to put in portions of your paycheck into Bitcoin and crypto, this might be a season of dollar cost averaging, which should bode well, later on down the line in a few years. We don't know where the bottom is going to be, but this should be a downtrend now that stays at least sideways and down for a little while, probably even a few months. We might even see Bitcoin, go down lower than the mid-teens, maybe even as much as 20% or so, but I think that's heavily speculation. The idea is when you're sideways and down, and you're looking to build a position, build up a portfolio, this is probably the best time to do it, because it won't be sideways and down forever. But for everything that I can see in the broader markets would suggest that actually there probably is going to be sideways and down for everybody. So profit taking, if you haven't already done it, might be something you want to think about, or at least taking chips off the table. But again, your trades is your decisions. I did it. I've done that, and I've allocated new positions in sort of commodity based stocks, but outside of that, I would rather just keep my profit than hold on to them for an inordinate amount of time when oil kind of helps us to see the future of inflation, which I think is what we're looking at the moment. We're looking at higher inflation reads, somewhere along the lines this year, and then we just don't know. It would be foolish to say that we did, but we just don't know what reaction the Fed would have as a result of that. We can only assume that they would continue to raise rates. Anyway, I'll leave with you there, but thank you for watching, guys. I hope you have a nice day. If you made it towards the end of the video, congratulations. I appreciate that was a long one. And if you want to leave a like, then that would be very appreciated too, because apparently this stage in the video makes the algorithm very happy. Patreon live stream tonight if you want to join that. Links in the description. Other than that, I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.